lot of politicians, you may have noticed, mistake themselves for God and decide they can control the intimate details of your life, including what kind of stove you use to cook your dinner. And politicians have been telling us for a long time, because of climate, you're not allowed to have a gas stove. But that doesn't make sense to people, because if they really cared about carbon emissions, they probably wouldn't be flying in private planes or blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, which they did. So now they have a new tack to get rid of gas stoves. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is deciding on whether to ban gas stoves totally. Because of safety. Safety? We've had these stoves for over 100 years. It's totally fine to give fentanyl to addicts, but a gas stove is a threat to your life? Right.
We've had it for like 100 years. And what has actually happened? And I asked this seriously. This isn't a dumb, shallow, rhetorical question. I used my staff of producers to look into the negative health effects of it. But he didn't. He doesn't care. He's not interested. The data of those 100 years show that kids who grow up in households that have the gas stoves are far more likely to have respiratory problems. This is not disputable at this point. He isn't interested. He is interested, like God only knows, maybe he has a gas stove. I don't know. But I know that he doesn't give a damn about what happens to the kids of his viewers. And if they're more likely to have health problems, that is not something he is going to lose a second and a half of sleep over. He is using this as an easy tool to convince them that this is government overreach. And along the way, if he can imply that unless you literally never emit a single ounce of carbon, then you don't care about climate change, as if that has any bearing, any merit whatsoever as an argument, that is all that he's doing here. It is playing to fear of progress, fear of change amongst conservatives, even if it has negative effects on their families.
Yo, by the way, this is I was thinking about earlier. It's like the only way to refute science, like you said, evidence, science, studies, talking about what has happened to people, is to go with fear and emotion. It's really weird how that works, because they like to also say that fear and emotion is something that, those soft libs like to do, or they attribute it only to women. As we see fights break out in Congress and people getting angry and hair flowing all over the place and pushing and snatching each other's faces. Emotion, they use way more than the folks that they blame it on. But that's the only way you can get people to ignore what reality is. They have to be afraid of it. They have to be ready to think someone's coming for them. We've said it a million times, John. I'm big on gas-powered engines. I love the sound. I kind of like the smell. But you know what? What happens when advancement happens? You have to move on, because we're evolving human beings, except for the ones who just don't want to. It's really weird, but it's that much anger. You see how that works? He has to get mad and angry and tell them whatever. So only way you get someone to listen to nonsense is to get them emotional about it.
Exactly. Yeah, just inspiring, stupid, like every single advancement, more efficient light bulbs. They have to be against that. It's like literally anything. You just say, this is a thing that's changing. The M&M's packaging is changing. Doesn't that freak you out? Isn't that what the Nazis did? That's what they do, and they get very, very wealthy by continually using that sort of like just absolutely brainless fear mongering. Why can't things improve?
John, I'm really fast. I'm not sure if this is true, but I assume back in the day people used like potbelly stoves in their houses to cook with logs thrown on the fire. Probably smoke in the house, and you inhale all that stuff. They advanced to gas. Yeah. Maybe we can advance again. I'm just saying, maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.